Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills, learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. For today's episode, we are entering the world of social skills. Stupid people turn discussions into arguments, and smart people turn arguments into discussions. What's the difference though? In a nutshell, arguments are more about who is right, and discussions are more about what is right. Arguments are typically done with an untamed ego, and discussions are done with a tamed ego. Did you ever notice why a lot of these debate shows, things get heated very, very quickly? And it doesn't necessarily matter if the debate shows are being held in the eastern part of the world or the western part of the world. A lot of these shows, I kid you not, it goes from a very formal discussion to eventually turning into each person interrupting one another, raising their voices, name calling, a lot of these strange things happening from all parts of the world. Why? Well, the reason why is because a lot of people enter debates with an argument mindset. They view it as the battle of the best ideas. And when you say the word battle in the first place, do you think it's more so argument lenient or discussion lenient? More often than not, argument lenient. And that's why people get their egos involved whenever they're having a debate and things get personal. These individuals, they're attaching their identity to their ideas. And when you do that, anytime someone is making a point that takes away from that idea, your subconscious mind starts viewing it as a threat. And whenever you start viewing anything as a threat, you have the fight or flight response. Either you start backing away, or you start doubling down and things get very, very heated. And that's something that you constantly see time and time again. In order to debate properly, you need to be trained to a certain extent. And we can't all have training. I get that. We're not all part of the debate team. We don't all have debate classes. We're not formally trained. So in situations like that, when problems arise where there's two different opinions, which, trust me, there will be several cases in the social world where there are two different opinions, you have to lead with the discussion mindset. You have to. But typically, going to the discussion mindset, it's trained. It's not something that you're born with. And it's trained often after pain. You heard that right, after pain. Typically, when we're maturing, we're not maturing through things going easy for us. We mature when things go very, very hard for us. And it's the same with the social world as well. To make the argument to discussion mentality transition, there's a lot of pain, or better yet, embarrassment involved. I remember 3 to 4 years ago, a few of my friends, we were all chilling. It was roughly around 6 of them. And I remember there was this very controversial topic that came up where all 6 of us thought we stood in the same line of thinking. But no, that wasn't the case. There was one person who stood in the exact opposite side. And I kid you not, we were in shock. We're like, are you joking? Or is this how you actually think? And this friend of ours was like, no, that's actually how I think. And at this point, he is trying to discuss. He can clearly tell that he's outnumbered, but he is trying to discuss. But myself and all of our friends, we ain't having it. We are being pretty primal. We're getting angry that this guy even thinks like this. And I kid you not, that was a very, very tough moment for the rest of the night. And it got very heated. Well, 2 years passes on by. 2 years passes on by, and I go through a lot of different experiences. And then suddenly, I kid you not, suddenly out of nowhere one day, I completely understand what that friend was going through. And it's not just as though I understood. It's as though my mind had completely flipped. And now every single one of his points made all the sense in the world. And truth be told, I was on his side. And every single point that myself and my other friends were making, I didn't think about it anymore. I didn't think like that anymore. It took me 2 years to understand that that isolated friend was sticking up for himself, and he was right in my world. And what's funny is another one of the friends that was against that solo friend, he started to come around as well. Even though that was a very embarrassing moment for me, it sort of gave me a very unique perspective. And that is, there's always a potential that my mind can flip. And when you have that mindset, when you have that lesson, you start having the discussion mentality. There's always a small potential. It may not seem like it yet, but there's always a small potential that your mind can completely flip into what this other person who you are vehemently against is saying you can agree with one day. So once you start understanding that, that's when you start realizing, okay, it's best to adopt the discussion mentality so I don't embarrass myself later. And that's what I meant by earlier, that the discussion mentality is typically born from pain. So ask yourself right now, ask yourself, in what ways have you personally evolved your thought processes? If you think the same exact way 10 years ago as you do now, then you ain't doing enough maturing, homie. You gotta look deeper. I'm sure there are certain things where you thought a certain way, but nowadays you think completely different. Find those moments, and every single time you find those moments, it allows you to enter different debates with the discussion mentality. Whenever you're turning discussions into arguments, no one wins. Everyone just feels drained, everyone just feels heated, and no one wins at the end of the day. So make it a conscious effort. Make it a conscious effort to be like that one solo friend who was doing his best to state his points like an adult, while myself and my friends were acting very childish. Understand that one day the childish people will understand and they'll respect you a lot more for holding your ground and doing it in a respectful way. So with that being said, start understanding the nuances of the communications world, and one of the best ways to do that is by checking out the Armani Archives Social Dynamics edition. I talk about all my mistakes, I talk about all the lessons learned, and a lot of the insights from my background, and I deliver it in short story format. The world is busy, we don't have time to invest in a whole book from beginning to end, so the Armani Archives is designed in a way where you get to pick and choose the stories that apply the best to you in your life. If you're interested in buying a copy, make sure you scroll over to the description box right down below and seal your copy today. Thank you for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.